Hello everyone and welcome to the Bandit's Den. I just pushed the wrong button on my OBS and so my old gaming channel is going to have a 2-second video of me wearing this bandana. Now, most of you liked raw and uncut video, and so I'm going to leave it raw and uncut, dogs providing. I just got done reffing a 1-hour wrestling match between the two of them. They're still trying to figure out this whole family thing. Now, one of you requested, and I'm not sure if they wanted to remain anonymous or not, but one of you guys requested that I talk about my spirituality and my spiritual experiences, and this channel has been relatively dead. I haven't done a whole lot with it. Oh, by the way, I think I talked about a month ago about how I had that thing that's going around the world that YouTube censors people for talking about for whatever reason. I'm over it. I'm negative now, and it wasn't terrible. The first 3 days was a lot like an opiate withdrawal. That's what it reminded me a lot of. It was like an opiate withdrawal. And then 3 days after that, I felt fine for about 3 days. And then I got serious congestion for about a week. The only thing is, it was really thick congestion that I could somehow breathe through just fine in my nose. I knew I was congested because, I would lay on one side and that side would get more congested, and then I would lay on the other side and that side would get more congested. And I would get headaches and stuff. But I could still breathe fine, which was really weird. And even though I could breathe fine, I couldn't smell a goddamn thing. I tried burning sage, I tried burning various incenses, I was smelling my scented oils, I tried everything, and I couldn't smell anything. It was like breathing sterile air, which was interesting. Off-putting, to say the least, because if I had a gas leak in my house, I wouldn't have smelled it, and my house would have just fucking blown up. So, anyways, I went 2 minutes without cussing. Go ahead and congratulate me in the comments. That was pretty difficult. Now, about my spiritual experiences, I'm going to go ahead and talk about how I came to become spiritual. I told you guys on my old channel and my current channel, maybe briefly, about how I'm an atheist. Nothing exists. You're stupid if you believe that anything other than science exists, or that there's anything to be spiritual about. You're stupid. You're dumb. You're a goddamn Neanderthal. And I was that way for 20 years. And so, yeah, this video is going to be about how I came to be spiritual. Alright? So, yeah, that's pretty much my history. 20 years, I was an atheist, a really militant atheist. And that's because, in retrospect, and I forget this frequently still, in retrospect, I had a strong interest in the spirituality that I have now. When I was a kid, it's like it was calling to me, and that was gently squished out of me by the Catholic Church, because I went to Catholic school all of my life. Yes, I grew up lower middle class. We didn't have everything in the world, and I remember frequently eating mashed potatoes with ground beef on top because it was cheap. Hamburger helper. Hamburger helper was a common thing. Lasagna, things that are really cheap to make. And that's because my parents had to pinch every penny in order to send me to private school. And thanks to my father and my mother in part, I was able to get a really good education. But that education, for me even, came at a cost. For my parents, it came at a huge cost of they weren't able to make any real investments until me and my brother were teens. And so it kind of financially stunted them. And my father, he died young, as you guys know, but he was pretty much looking at never retiring, which I'm sure in and of itself would be really fucking depressing. So, anyways, yeah, thanks to the frugal nature of my mother and the hard work of my father, I was able to get this education. The cost for me came in spiritual form. The Catholic faith was pushed on me pretty hard, and they weren't abusive physically or anything about me wanting to pursue this feeling that I had about the spirituality I recently adopted. You know, and this was over 20 years ago. And they slowly changed my mind. And so back in 7th grade or something, I decided that I would try really hard. I would try really hard to get this thing from the Catholic Church that I've been unable to get all of my life thus far. And so I would go to church after school and I would pray, and I tried this whole Catholic spirituality thing for like an entire semester, and I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything out of it. So long story short, I became an atheist. I was like, yeah, this is bullshit. This is stupid. You're all a bunch of morons. And I remained that way until, you know, I'm not supposed to mention this group that I'm a part of. It's a lot more under the radar than MGTOW. And a lot of it's really misunderstood in the public eye. I hear it mentioned in shows, sitcoms, talk shows, even in the news, and it's a severely misunderstood group. But they choose to not be directly affiliated with anything, and they prefer their members to not spout off, you know, whatever, anything about it. And, you know, even one of their requirements is to develop some sort of spirituality. And I was in this group years ago, and that was one area where I fucked up. I refused to. I thought I had developed spirituality, but really I just glossed over that part. And that's a good 1/3 of what you need to do in order to be successful amongst this group. Of course, I was unsuccessful. And when I went away for a month, you know, after my channel was banned, after I created my new channel, and not very many people were watching, you know, and it really fucked up my channel getting banned. And yeah, I made some shitty choices there to get myself banned. First, I got them on the radar by airing something brutally violent on my live stream. And I shouldn't have done that, because that attracted their attention, and then they pretty much looked for an excuse to get rid of me. And I did say some things that gave them really good excuses to get rid of me. So, consequently, my channel got banned. I made a new channel, and shit. I deleted a lot of my videos from YouTube from that time. But I reviewed them before I deleted them, and yeah, you could watch my mental state quickly deteriorate. I was losing it, man. And so that's why I ended up leaving the state for a month in order to find myself, I suppose. And a good deal of that time I spent sitting on a riverbank near the ocean, a river that fed into the ocean. And I would fish and stuff. I'd catch stingrays and various other animals that I guess I shouldn't tell you about, because it would tell you exactly what area I was in. So I spent a lot of time on this river, and I spent a lot of time with a bunch of old people that were there. But slowly, I became the only one of my group, because they all came before me, and they all left before me. And eventually, it was just me, sitting on the riverbank, drinking coffee by myself in the morning. And so that gave me a lot of time to think. With all of my friends gone, I had a lot of time to sit there and think about where I had gone wrong. Why my mental state was deteriorating so quickly. And I was thinking, and so many people had God or a higher power and stuff in this group that I was part of. And I was like, that's got to be the part of the spirituality thing that I was missing. And so I decided, I'm going to make my God life. Because I don't believe in a God that's up in the cosmos, shaking his fist at you, shaking his finger at you. No, 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 you can't have sex. No, 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 you can't be gay. No, 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 you can't smoke weed. You know, I don't believe in that. So I just couldn't believe in some kind of judicial being that lives in the cosmos. And I still don't believe in a judicial being that lives in the cosmos. So yeah, I decided I would make life my God. I was sitting there looking out at the sunrise one morning, and I saw, I think it was a pelican. I saw some kind of bird that's a fisher swoop down and catch this fish, and it went and hung out. And then there were 3 crows chilling on some posts off of a dock. And there was all this life happening around me. All this life happening despite all of the human shit all around it. All the synthetic garbage that was all around it. And that's what I looked at most. A lot of people would look the other way toward the city and all, where all the stuff is happening. And all the bars and clubs and shit. No, I looked over toward the, they would look toward the sunset. I would look toward the sunrise. Because I've always loved nature. And so what more fitting of a God than life itself? I can't deny life's existence. I can't control life other than the body that I'm in. Hell, I try, but I can't even control my own fucking dogs. Sometimes I just have to let them run their course. Just like earlier, I had to leave the house to participate in this organization I'm a part of, and I have to lock Klaus in his cage so that he doesn't terrorize Jelly the whole fucking time I'm at work. Eventually, hopefully, he'll get used to being around her. But I can't control what he does. I don't want him to shit in there and roll around in it like a fucking savage. But that's what he does every time I leave. And so he gets baths fairly frequently because he gets his own shit all over him. I keep telling him, Klaus, you're not a piggy pig. You need to quit rolling in your own shit. But he doesn't understand English. Hell, he barely understands Russian and Thai, which I'm training him in. And he's getting the hang of it. My nigga Phil told me that, because I was starting to train him in English, my nigga Phil told me, maybe you shouldn't do that because then anybody in your area can give him commands. And I'm like, that's a fucking good idea. And so I'm training him in Russian, and the words in Russian that sound too similar to English, I'm substituting for Thai. And so little Klausy boy is learning Russian and Thai commands. So he's going to be all mixed up. And if I ever have to have somebody take care of him, I have the commands he knows right now written down so that they can tell him stuff when I hire somebody to take care of him. So anyways, for anybody new to the channel, I always wear a bandana before all of this stuff happened, I've been making videos for 2 years. I always wear a bandana. I never show my face on the internet, okay? Just so you know, just so we're clear. It's not because of this coca crap, whatever the fuck. Alright? I already got it. I'm already over it. I don't really need to wear this for anybody else's sake, let alone my own. Because I'm immune for about a half a year to a year. So it's not like I can even contract it again. So anyways, where was I? Before I rudely interrupted myself. I was droning on about... Yeah, so I was like, that's it. That's it. That is my higher power. That is my deity. That is my God, is life. Because I've always had an appreciation for nature. And the other reasons I gave you. I can't control it, it's something bigger than me, and it's something I can't deny exists. So I was fairly content. I came to this conclusion 4 or 5 days before I came back to Albuquerque. It took me a whole month sitting on this riverbank to come to that conclusion. And that's how difficult it is for a stubborn-ass fucking militant atheist to finally come to some and totally spiritually devoid atheist to finally come to a borderline spiritual conclusion. And I really wanted it, okay? It took me a long time. But once I thought of that, everything had changed. The world around me was so much more beautiful. I could be more at peace, knowing that somewhere out there, there's some crows sitting on a piece of wood, and there's some pelican scooping up a fucking fish. And I say that for comedic factor, but it's where I came from. Nature is where we all came from. And so, what better God? I thought. So anyways, because of my Catholic faith, my previous Catholic faith, when I was a child, I was used to praying to icons. I was used to praying to a crucifix that was a representation of one of the pieces of the Trinity. I was used to praying to a dove carrying an olive branch because that was another piece of the Trinity. And I was used to genuflecting at the signs of the cross, and I was used to praying to paintings of saints, you know. And for all of you Catholics out there, I know that that's not what it's about. It's about, you're not praying to the picture. You're praying to the saint to intercede for you to God. And the picture is there to keep it in your mind. Keep that saint in your mind so that you can focus your prayer to them. I understand that. So anyways, I figured, okay, well, what's going to be my icon of life? And I was like, well, I always wanted a crystal ball. And so when I get back to Albuquerque, I'm going to purchase a crystal ball, and I'm going to use it as my icon for life and all of life existence and stuff, and fucking pray to it. Because prayer is it's said to be an important part of this thing that I'm part of. Okay? Because I really wanted to be successful with these guys. And yes, I'm still with them, and I play a role in it. Alright? So I got my crystal ball in the mail about a month after I got in Albuquerque, and I tried praying to it, and it felt really fucking weird. I didn't really particularly like it, but I kept doing it, and I was looking around, and I was looking at stuff about, you know, worshiping nature and stuff. and I found some literature online about paganism. Now that I scared away about 3/4 of you guys, all of you other people who want to keep listening, hello, welcome. Thanks for sticking around after I said the P word. So I got this paganism, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure that's a lot like Satanism, right? Wrong. I kept reading about it. That's wrong. It's totally different. Paganism is pretty much any non-Abrahamic religion. And Abrahamic religions are all the religions that come from the Middle East. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. All right? Yes, Christianity comes from the Middle East. Christianity, which Catholicism is based on, is a Middle Eastern religion. A lot of people forget that. What is Christianity? It's the worship of Christ, Jesus Christ our Lord, right? Well, Jesus was a Jew, and we're Jews living in the Middle East. So Christianity is a Middle Eastern religion that occurred between the times of Judaism and Islam. So anyways, it's pretty much any non-Abrahamic religion. And that can be stretched to include Buddhism and Hinduism, but Buddhists and Hindus, for whatever reason, don't seem to like to be referred to as pagans. And pagan is it was a it was a derogatory. I couldn't think of the word. It was a derogatory term used by Christians to describe, savage people that believed in multiple gods and had really weird practices and stuff. All right, pagan was a derogatory term, but pagans nowadays have adopted it as a term to describe themselves. It's quite similar to the N-word, Black people were called the N-word for so long throughout history that they've kind of taken the word and changed it a bit and changed the meaning of it. And so now when one black person says to another black person, my nigga, that's like calling him a friend or whatever, right? All you black people, go ahead and correct me. I don't mind being corrected nowadays. But that's essentially the meaning behind it. It's like, when that's said, it's kind of like a brother in the struggle, right? And that's kind of how paganism, the word pagan, is. It used to be a derogatory term, now embraced by the people it was used against to describe themselves. And same for heathen. Heathen is now a word that's used by a group of people it was originally used against, but now they use it to describe themselves. And that is people who follow traditional and not so traditional Norse paganism, Scandinavian paganism. And most of them are not so traditional because most of them don't have really good sources on historical times. Most of them follow the Prose Edda, which was written by Snorri Sturluson or whatever the fuck. And he was Christian, and so he wrote about the heathen faith, the heathen traditions, the heathen practices, whatever. He wrote about them from a Christian perspective and changed some things to match up and align with Christianity, and so it's not totally accurate. However, I do listen to historians and stuff to more closely recreate that. But I'm jumping ahead of myself here, aren't I? About life being my higher power, eventually coming to paganism. And I also found that it's not every pagan, but it is common for pagans to practice witchcraft, which I had a very strong interest in when I was a kid, and the Catholic Church, surprisingly, didn't like that. So I was like, wow, look at all this stuff that I had interest in. Non-Abrahamic religions I thought were more interesting than Abrahamic religions. I never really had an interest in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I was like, okay, I don't know. They just didn't get along with my mind. I'm an outdoorsy person. I like to treat being outdoors as my church. You know, I'm most at peace when I'm out there. And so, I'm getting myself off track again. This is kind of why I like to edit stuff, even though it's a lot of work, because then I don't sound like a total fucktard. So, yeah, I read a lot about paganism. I even got, I forget which one it is. It's the more populated Reddit. I think it's r/pagan. I think I'm on r/paganism still, but I think it's r/pagan that I got banned from. I got banned from the pagan Reddit, even though I was in my right mind and everything. I got banned from there because they're a bunch of fucking bleeding heart morons. And I told a conservative who asked politely if they can be conservative and pagan still. And I told them, absolutely. You don't have to believe this or that or the other thing to be pagan. It just seems the majority of the people here do. But you can definitely be conservative and pagan. I myself lean toward the conservative side, even though I'm not a conservative. I'm a gun-toting motherfucker, or whatever I wrote. And that was classified as hate speech. I got banned from that subreddit, and so did the person that posted the question. I guess you have to have a certain political alignment according to their administrators in order to be part of a non-Abrahamic religion. Or to be part of a spirituality that isn't Abrahamic. So don't expect to get on that subreddit and not experience some fascist baloney going on, because that's exactly what happened to me. I was silenced for saying you can have whatever political alignment you want. Spirituality doesn't know political alignment. As far as the spirituality I'm in, I believe that both sides are needed, no matter how stupid they can be, no matter how trad cons can be, no matter how libtards can be. It doesn't matter. The point is they're balancing each other out. And that's why as one becomes more extreme, so does the other one. And they're becoming more and more and more extreme because there needs to be balance. You know, when they're close together like this, like they used to be quite similar, just a little different. You know, when one started to become more polarized, so did the other one. Do. They're just seeking balance like anything that's natural. Humans are part of nature, whether we like to admit it or not. You know, all those gun-toting hillbillies that go around poaching animals don't think that that's what they're a part of. they think, oh, we're over here and nature is over here. No, it's all the same thing. So essentially, what you're doing is destroying a part of yourself when you go out there poaching animals for no fucking reason. Now, shooting animals and killing animals in order to eat their flesh and wasting as little as possible because you're in a survival situation and it would not be in your best interest to waste anyways, now that is okay. That is spiritually fit, in my opinion. It's all these people that go out there fucking wantonly killing things, including other people. That is spiritually devoid. It's not being in tune with where you come from. So, anyways, damn, I'm getting preachy. Getting way off. Way off, dude. So yeah, I got banned from that subreddit, and so that ended up giving me more time to explore. And I came across heathenry. And I was like, this is interesting. I mean, I'm part Scandinavian, among many other things. I'm pretty much the result of people all across the world having sex with each other. I'm the bastard son of all kinds of different fucking genes, man. But one part of me is Scandinavian, and I did find Vikings to be quite romantic. And, this was before I discovered that, Scandinavian history goes well beyond Viking age. I mean, that's just a short blip in the history, and I know that now. And as a matter of fact, my favorite two gods weren't really all that popular during the Viking age. I mean, everybody who is a heathen goes off about Odin and Thor. And really, they only really saw a lot of popularity toward the end there. For a couple thousand years or so, my deity was really popular because he's the deity of fertility and of sacral kingship. And my favorite goddess is the goddess of fertility as well. And I chose them because fertility is something we all depend on in order to thrive. That's what everything depends on when it comes down to it. Because without food and without water, you're going to fucking die. That is one of the most basic human needs. And a lot of our clothes is the result of fertility. This wife beater is cotton, mostly. Without fertility, I wouldn't be able to wear this wife beater. Or this bandana, which is 100% cotton. I wouldn't have them without fertility. If the cotton plant wasn't able to fucking grow, I wouldn't have these things. And I also enjoy gardening. And it was kind of a good thing that I was pushed out of the all too fascist fucking r/pagan. I was just pursuing spiritual clarity. And apparently that comes to them, it comes with a price of aligning yourself politically with one side or another. Which is unfortunate for the 100,000 people that are on that subreddit. Unfortunate as hell, because they're lost. That kind of subreddit isn't where you want to be. So I ended up on, the heathen subreddit. I'm also on the paganism subreddit, because they're not as fascist as the other new age fucking hippie fucks that I could go on about politics and how stupid they are over there. But that's one reason why I don't agree with some political beliefs is because they call me a fascist for whatever reason, and they're the real fascists. And they don't make any sense. They don't even know the definitions of things they're saying. So, anyways, I need to move on from that subject. It's just unfortunate how they're leading 100,000 people astray with that baloney. So, yeah, I did good research on lots of different pagan beliefs and stuff, and I kind of mix a little bit of modern sorcery with traditional sorcery because, okay, look at this. Back in the day, and archaeologists really can't draw an exact line between people's spirituality back when pagan faiths were the only thing around, way before Judaism even existed. They're looking at these remains and stuff, and they have a lot of difficulty drawing an exact line between people's spirituality and sorcery or witchcraft, whatever you want to call it. And like Arith Herger says, that may be because there was no line between spirituality or your religion, for lack of a better word, because it wasn't religion back then, and witchcraft, sorcery, whatever you want to call it. I prefer sorcery because it sounds cooler. Witchcraft is so fucking overused. And when you say witchcraft, everybody thinks of somebody that has a bunch of crystals and sages their house every day. They think of those two chicks, the basic witches, who are on Instagram, and they go around touting about how witchcraft is a feminist movement and all kinds of stupid shit like that. Okay, witchcraft, sorcery, is not a feminist movement. It doesn't know any ideological or political bounds. It doesn't. It's been going on for like 30,000 years. I'm pretty sure feminism didn't exist 30,000 fucking years ago. So don't tell me it's this or that, and don't tell me this Asatru bullshit about how, oh, you have to be genetically pure to be a heathen. That's stupid too. I'm gonna get off of my preachy high horse here and tell you guys a fucking story. Alright? So, this is the story I've been trying to build up to this entire video. I decided, okay, I have ancestry that goes back to ancient Scandinavia. I mean, my grandmother was Norwegian. And so I was like, okay, and I knew a little bit about the gods. Apparently, I knew practically nothing, but I thought I knew pretty good, thanks to shows about Vikings. No, that stuff is all wrong, because Vikings were half Christian, half pagan. A lot of their stuff was Christian, and it wasn't really, it turned out to not really be what I was aiming for. I was aiming for something more ancient, something that goes back to the roots of human spirituality, something that was one of the first things conceived. And the thing is, I still haven't even accomplished it, but you have to totally change your mindset. You have to change the way you look at the world, because the vast majority of the world is founded on Christian worldviews. And it's amazing how much it has affected how everybody sees the world. Whether they're an atheist or a Christian, or a Jew or a Muslim, it doesn't matter. Everybody has some of these world views, and I'll get into them in another video. A lot of people have some of these world views that came from Christianity, or at least Abrahamic religions, and you're not even aware that that's what it is. You're not even aware where it came from. You just think that's how it is because that is how it is. But their mindset back in the day was totally different from how we look at things today. And so you have to look at that. Duality back then didn't really exist. There was no pleasure and suffering. There was no black and white. There was no good and evil. It was more of a spectrum, I suppose. I'm getting off track again from my story. So I looked through it and I was like, okay, what's a good starter deity for me? I love gardening. I love nature. And so I chose the one I told you guys about. I don't particularly like mentioning his name because for some reason, anytime I mention his name to another person, it comes out wrong. I can't pronounce it correctly unless I'm at home alone with my dogs, or in my truck alone, or on my lunch break alone. Whenever somebody asks me the name of my God or of my gods, I will always mess his name up. I don't know if that's by design or what. So I chose. And so I prayed to him that night. It was a cold winter night. I prayed to him with my wood-burning stove burning full force, with my makeshift altar with hardly anything on it but my crystal ball and a couple other things. And I essentially just said a usual prayer like, hello, it's a pleasure to meet you, and and I hope that whatever happens fucking happens, and your will be done. It was this clusterfuck of hey, what's up, man, and Catholic prayer and stuff. It was this clusterfuck in my head, dude. I don't pray like that anymore. But I didn't know what to say. I was an atheist for 20 years. And I wanted to research stuff before actually fucking praying to a god. So he was the first deity I prayed to. And the very next morning, I went outside, as I would, with jelly. And I went out to my cattle gate that I have to keep jelly in and trespassers out. And I looked, and there's this totally unscathed dove out there on the sidewalk in front of my house. I'm like, look at that. It's just laying down, And a car drove by, and the air got pushed into the dove, and the dove just rocked back and forth. I'm like, God damn, that dove is frozen solid. So I went over and I picked it up, and it was frozen solid, this dove. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful dove. And it was freshly dead, too. It must have froze to death overnight or something, because its eyes weren't dried out or anything. It was in pristine condition. And I was like, this is amazing. There's this beautiful thing, perfectly preserved from the night's cold, in my hand. And I was like, I just prayed last night, and now I have this beautiful gift that people would have appreciated back in the day in the middle of a terrible winter. probably would have cut it up and made some food out of it. But I was like, I don't know about that. And so what I did was I cut its wings off. I wanted to make use of it. And I was going to use it for witchcraft because I was more heavily into that than heathenry at the time. I mean, I was just getting started, right? But I knew for sure I wanted to practice sorcery because I had a strong interest in it as a kid, and that I kept more secret than I did my interest in paganism. And so I was going to use it for something having to do with witchcraft. I didn't know what yet. And so, yeah, I cut its tail off, I cut its wings off, I cut its legs off, and I cut its head off. And so all I had was this like gray marshmallow, giant marshmallow looking thing, which was the remainder of its body. And I burned all the feathers that came off in the cutting process. I burned in my wood burning stove as sort of I don't want anything to go wasted. I don't want anything to go into the garbage. And I didn't want to litter and just throw them out the door, so I didn't want anything going into the garbage and just ending up in the fucking dump, because I felt that it was kind of an answer to my prayer, like, hey, what's up, Albuquerque Bandit? I do exist, And so I'm like, okay, so I burned all the feathers that came off of it in the cutting process. And what I did was I looked up ways to preserve things, and of course a way that one of my girlfriends had told me in the past, a Native American way, putting cornmeal, enveloping something in cornmeal and putting it in a sack, and it becomes mummified essentially, which makes sense. I mean, a lot of natives lived in the desert, and so they knew how to mummify stuff. So I went ahead and I couldn't find any cornmeal, like the stuff that you use to make pizza, the stuff you put on the stone for making pizza so it slides off nice and easy or whatever. But I was able to find corn flour, masa, for making corn tortillas or tamales out of. So I went ahead and got some of that. I got way too much. I got 3 bags of it, like 15 pounds of corn flour. I didn't know how much I would need. And I ended up layering the pieces of dove that I had planned on preserving with, I put a part of it, and I splayed the tail out. I splayed the tail out and the wings out so that they would be nice and flared out and beautiful. And I preserved them with corn flour. What you need to do is let it sit. You let it sit for 30 days. 1 full moon cycle, essentially, is where they got their measurement back in the day. The word month comes from the word moon. So, essentially what the natives would do is they would leave it in cornmeal, ground corn, not corn flour, and they would leave it for 1 full moon cycle. So if you put it, on the full moon, then you wait till the next full moon to take it out, and it would be fully preserved. So that's what I did. I actually left it in there for a month and a half, 1.5 moon phases, just to be damn sure, because I didn't want that gift going unappreciated, or, I didn't want it to go to waste, And then the body, I'm sure you guys are wondering what I did with this giant gray marshmallow looking thing after I cut all the extremities off. I'm sure some of you are disgusted by this by now. What I did with the body was I buried it in a part of my garden. And, you know, this part of the story comes a lot later. It comes to today. That is the most fertile part of my garden by far. I mean, my butternut squash is going fucking crazy over there. And my two varieties of mint, they're fighting each other to the death. They're fucking trying to kill everything. They're trying to take over as much land as they can. And both my onions and my chives bloomed and reproduced, successfully produced seeds within the first month of the growing season. They didn't even produce seeds last year. So, and you can't tell me, I mean, that's a lot of square footage. That's a lot of square footage right there. You can't tell me one little bird corpse buried in the middle of that area actually decayed in the middle of the desert in winter, decayed and dispersed itself throughout all of that soil in order to make it fertile. You can't tell me that. So that side of the garden it's the most fertile this year. The other side, I can hardly get stuff to grow. I even put extra cow shit over there. I mean, at first stuff wasn't growing, so I'm like, okay, have some more cow shit, and it helped a little bit, but it's not working like last year. So maybe I need to bury more offerings. I also have a working out there. I'll tell you guys about that another time. So anyways, this I do, and I incorporate a lot of different world practices. I'm kind of like what do you call it? I'm kind of like an eclectic pagan, but I lean heavily on the heathen side. But I made this. This is a Native American type deal. I had a feather for essentially, I guess for lack of a better word for somebody who's unfamiliar with stuff, sort of blessing my area. This is for that. And I like to believe that I have something a lot more close to what was traditionally used. This is its tail. And I made this. But I like to believe that I have something closer to traditional than what a lot of people do. This thing, I'm pretty proud of it. Mummified dovetail. So anyways, that's just one of many things I've done. And I felt it. I felt the appreciation of being appreciated. I appreciated this gift, this dove that I was given. And even though I didn't eat it, I let its body help fertilize my garden. And I took what humans perceive to be the most beautiful parts of a bird, and I preserved them, and I repurposed one of them thus far. I'm still looking for the purpose for the other parts, but the other parts remain on my altar. And my brother did come by one day, and he saw it. He saw that stuff on my altar, and I can only imagine what he thought of that. Poor guy. I felt kind of bad, because it's not like, when people see parts of animals on a table with a bunch of other relic-looking things, you would think that that person sacrificed that animal to Satan or whatever the fuck But that's not the case. I was given a gift, and I did my best to use it in a way where it's useful for me, and I can appreciate it. I can continue to appreciate it into the future. And I also used what I couldn't really readily use by fertilizing my garden with it. There's another thing that I got. I don't think it was a gift. I think it was more of an accident, really. And an unfortunate accident. There were baby birds, and they disappeared. I think they grew up and flew away, but after I cleaned up the mess from them it was in one of my buildings, and they nested in a corner, and I did my best to not disturb them, but one of the siblings was left behind. This poor little guy. Won't focus on him, but this little guy, I'm going to give him a tribute. He'll remain on my altar until I can find a fucking rosemary plant. It's pissing me off. I want a rosemary plant for cooking with chicken, but I can't find anybody that sells a rosemary plant. But I'm going to give him a grave in my garden, and it's unfortunate he never learned to fly. He never saw much of life. Really unfortunate, he or she. And I'm going to plant a rosemary bush on top. And it's these kinds of things, being able to have empathy for all living things, that it makes me happy. It makes me feel connected to the world. And like I was saying, I could feel the appreciation for being appreciated. It felt like, and this could be a placebo effect. What matters is that it has an effect, right? It has an effect on me. And that's all that really matters. Sure, anybody can get in the comment section and say, well, what if it's a placebo effect? All these things you're experiencing. Well, if it is a placebo effect, does it matter? It has, bless me, it has a spiritual effect on me. It makes me happy. It's making a difference in my life. It's helping me to function as a normal human being to the point where I'm becoming pretty fucking successful. And I'm seeing successes in my life where I haven't before. And so if it is a placebo effect, does it really matter? But these are things that I believe. I don't think it's just a placebo effect. I think there was something out there that appreciated that its gift to me was appreciated. Because I felt it. Now, maybe in my next video, I'll tell you guys about the demon that tried to move in. For lack of a better term, demon. I mean, again, the Catholic stuff is ingrained thoroughly in me. And so when I feel something like that, my first word is demon. Now, it could have been an unhappy house white. It could have been a member of the Fae just fucking with me. It could have been, something from the Fae realm. It could have just been a spirit fucking around, or it could have been a malevolent spirit. I don't know. But I might tell you guys about that if this type of video is well received. If you guys like hearing about my spirituality, and maybe sometime when I get my practice up again, because I didn't feel like it when I was sick throwing knives, I might show you a video of throwing knives and how I like to do it. Same for hatchets. But yeah, let me know how you guys enjoyed this video about my spirituality and how I found it. It's longer than I intended because I kind of get sidetracked and go off on stuff. Especially things that make me angry, which is something I need to work on. That's something I definitely need to work on, getting triggered. So, yeah, guys, let me know. Regardless, I'll probably make a video about the demon that tried to move in. Yeah, I'll probably make a video about it regardless anyways, because the person that requested this topic kind of wants a general overview over multiple videos, and maybe I'll just, for the time being, turn this into my spirituality channel and talk about that, what it looks like, my experiences, and the stuff I do. Well, anyways, you guys take it easy out there, and maybe try switching stuff up if you're an atheist, and do something. And other than that, keep pursuing knowledge, guys, and remember, paganism isn't fucking Satanism. That's a really common misconception. It is not. It is a broad spectrum of religions, faiths, and spiritualities. And one pagan is not really the same as another pagan's practice. I mean, it's fucking broad. It is a really broad term. It's almost as broad as human, you know? I mean, there's so many different kinds of humans out there. There's probably just about as many different kinds of pagans out there. Because, yeah, everybody is different. I mean, I'm slightly eclectic, but heavy influence from Scandinavian paganism. And, a little dash of sorcery thrown in there too. So, yeah, you guys stay strong out there and pursue your own truth. And until next time, stay spiritually fit. Later.